This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Al-Shabaab militants reportedly carry out a car bomb attack in southern Somalia. Nigerian vice president survives helicopter crash. And Belgium to take ex-Ivorian president Laurent Gbagbo after his acquittal at The Hague. Hello and welcome to CGTN. This is Africa Live and I'm Karen Roberts in Nairobi. Remember South Africa's DJ AJ? Well, he's back, this time with a stellar performance on America's Got Talent. We begin in Somalia, where Al-Shabaab militants say they carried out a suicide car bomb attack in a government-controlled town in the south of the country on Saturday morning, killing at least 16 Ethiopian soldiers. The attack reportedly took place in Badera town, located in the country's southern Gedo region, which lies near to Somalia's porous border with Kenya. A local elder who witnessed the attack told Reuters that the explosion killed 10 people, including soldiers and civilians. Local authorities are yet to confirm the deaths of the Ethiopian soldiers. In Nigeria, the country's vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, has reportedly survived a helicopter crash. The helicopter crash landed in the north-central state of Cote. After the incident, Osinbajo tweeted that all on board were safe. The cause of the accident is unknown, but his spokesperson said the vice president was continuing his engagements in Kogi State. Nigeria is preparing to hold its presidential election on the 16th of February, and Osinbajo will once again deputize President Muhammadu Buhari, who is seeking a second term in office. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa skipped a planned rally on Saturday and spent the day in talks with regional leaders. Hundreds of people had gathered in Mount Darwin in the Mashonaland Central Province, a ZANU-PF stronghold, for a rally organised to thank supporters for voting in the ruling party in last year's elections. Mnangagwa was expected to address the rally but didn't turn up, sending one of his vice presidents instead. Mnangagwa is facing mounting pressure at home and abroad to address the violent crackdown and alleged abuses by security agencies, while quelling the January the 14th protests over an increase in the price of fuel. In Ethiopia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has warned that his government will not tolerate attempts that challenge the unity of the country. Speaking to members of parliament, Abiy said action would be taken against those that try to ruin unity, peace and development in the country. Ethiopia's Prime Minister has been widely praised for introducing reforms aimed at ending political repression after taking office early last year.
When a political landscape is narrower, it's easier to maneuver around. One can use government faults of imprisoning its members or journalists and create an issue out of it, become an opposition party without necessarily having a stronger agenda. Now that is not possible. Ethiopia is a country where no journalist is in prison. One cannot argue using this agenda.
Belgium has agreed to host ex-Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo following his acquittal by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Under his conditional release, Gbagbo will not be allowed to leave Belgium pending an appeal. He was the first former head of state to go on trial at the ICC. He had been charged with crimes against humanity in connection with violence following a disputed 2010 election that left 3,000 dead and 500,000 displaced. Back in Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo's supporters welcomed his release, while victims of the post-election violence have opposed his return to the country.
President Laurent Gbagbo is a true Ivorian, so he must return to his country without any conditions. We do not want this conditional release. He has to come back. That's all we want.
As far as I'm concerned, the release of Laurent Gbagbo and Good is not a bad thing, but personally, I never wanted to see this man again in Cote d'Ivoire. I don't want him in politics. He shouldn't come back.
To Cameroon, where thousands of Nigerian refugees have arrived at a makeshift camp in the northeast of the country. They're fleeing attacks from Boko Haram. Susan Wangeli now reports.
Trekking hundreds of kilometers with the only possessions they have. They are fleeing the latest Boko Haram attack in the border town of Ran. It's not the first attack, though. The militants have launched numerous such attacks in recent months.
Since Sunday, the 26th of January, we are facing a massive influx of refugees, people who flee violence, fear and chaos in Ran.
Insecurity is a serious concern for authorities in Nigeria. More so now that the country is due for elections in a fortnight. The Nigerian military says things are under control in the northeastern region. But the situation on the ground is far from it.
When the military left, we had no other possibility but to leave. We had nothing to defend ourselves with, so it was better to leave.
Boko Haram has been active in northeast Nigeria for over a decade. Thousands of people have been killed. Livelihoods have been destroyed in the insurgency as the regional government struggles to put an end to the ongoing violence.
It's very clear that the people who came really had no choice. They've talked to us about being repeatedly attacked and fleeing and going back and fleeing again. Some of them said 5, some of them said this is the 10th time that they seek refuge in Cameroon. So I think it's important that we understand they have no option, and right now this is where they need to be if they want to stay alive and be in safety.
Around 4.3 million people in Nigeria, mostly women and children, are in need of life-saving assistance. Susan Mongeli, CGTN.
To Uganda now, and its army plays a vital role in African Union peacekeeping operations. But how is the army perceived at home? With celebrations to mark the 38th anniversary of the Uganda People's Defence Forces, the military is working to improve the way it's seen by the Ugandan people. Leon Esenyange reports now from Kampala.
Ugandans have been distrustful of the armed forces because of a long history of attacks on civilians. But now, these soldiers have swapped their guns for shovels in an attempt to improve that image. And they are getting their hands dirty. These officers are cleaning up this suburb in the capital, Kampala.
We used to have army that people would run away, but this is the army where you can interact and talk and share so many things.
The citizens never understand the warm side of the army, what they can do. So if an officer can come down with their rank, he's a colonel, but he's in the trenches, cleaning, touching in the garbage.
The soldiers are doing community service as part of the week-long Th Hague celebrations. Every February 6th, Uganda commemorates the formation of the then National Resistance Army, founded in 1981 by current President Yoweri Museveni as a rebel group fighting to overturn the then government. It was renamed the Uganda People's Defence Force in 1995. This initiative is just one of many that the army will be involved in over the next few days. Authorities hope it will lead to a change of perception about the force. Uganda Human Rights Commission reports have indicated that the army has played a lead role in perpetrating gross human rights abuses on civilians. The army says it has instituted measures to deal with any perpetrators. The UPDF has also been deeply involved in regional peacekeeping operations. Under the Africa Union Peacekeeping Mission, it has played a fundamental role in stabilizing Somalia. The UPDF has also been hailed for its fight against the terrorist group, the Al-Shabaab.
We are emphasizing that this must be consolidated because security begets development and the development begets security.
Currently, the UPDF has over 40,000 serving men and women. The Uganda government is hoping improving its public image will encourage more new recruits to join. Leon Sanyange, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Well, we are going to a short break. Don't go away, lots more to come, including... Migration remains a big challenge for Somali authorities. And later... South African DJ AJ puts on a show on America's Got Talent.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice. Africa Live. Find your voice.
In Uganda, the process of registering all boats has begun 3 months after a tragic accident on Lake Victoria claimed the lives of more than 30 people. CGTN's Hilary Ayesaka now reports.
Water transport is one of the most common means of getting around on Uganda's lakes. But the authorities are concerned that most boats are not safe. A screening exercise is now underway to eliminate boats that are not in good condition.
A vessel that is not seaworthy will not be allowed to go into the waters, and the enforcement agencies like the Marine Police shall be alerted.
More than 100 officials have been trained to carry out the exercise. A few kilometers from here is where MV Templar sank, killing dozens of revelers 2 months ago. Authorities say the boat was not seaworthy, and it's hoped this screening exercise will improve water safety. Regulation involves registration, the granting of permits, number plates and logbooks. Boat owners have welcomed the move.
Since the government introduced these safety measures, the situation has improved. We do not load more than 15 passengers on the boat.
Authorities say the exercise will cover 180 landing sites across the country. It's hoped that by the end of this exercise, only seaworthy vessels will float on these waters, making it safe for travelers. Hilary Isga, CGTN, Kampala.
On to Somalia now, and migration remains a big challenge for Somali authorities, and as CGTN's Abdulaziz Bilo reports, unemployment and insecurity continue to be the main causes of illegal migration in the Horn of African nation.
A 30-year-old Yasin Ahmed Barkhadle is setting his camera before taking an aerial shoot of Mogadishu. He is among some of the city's professional cameramen whose works have been featured by several local and international media outlets. His case is not that different from many of his age mates in the country. Yasin fled Somalia in 2009, just as militant group Al-Shabaab took control of major towns in south and central Somalia. His destination of choice, Yemen. But things didn't turn out as he expected.
I fled Somalia in 2009 after finishing high school, hoping to secure free learning opportunities in Yemen. I boarded a small skiff alongside 48 other people. Due to its small size and speed, it took us 3 days to reach Yemen. The journey was extremely dangerous due to strong winds, but we eventually landed on the shores of Yemen.
Many young Somalis have embarked on the dangerous journey, hoping to find well-paying jobs in Gulf countries. Hundreds have died at sea, but Yasin says he's lucky to be alive.
I stayed in Yemen for 8 months. Unfortunately, It was at that time when the Arab Spring was slowly gaining momentum there. So I tried my luck in Saudi Arabia, but I was later repatriated back to Somalia by Saudi authorities in 2014, and it's then when I decided to practice camera work. I'm happy now. I have a job as a cameraman in my own country.
Yasin is now a freelance photographer and video editor with a leading Mogadishu-based production company. He recently graduated from a local university and is married with one child. The government says that close to 5,000 of its nationals are stranded in several transit countries, including Libya and Yemen. Hundreds have since been repatriated through a voluntary return program. But the Somali government is yet to address the root causes of migration, chief among them insecurity and unemployment.
We have done significant work in the areas of security, job creation and the stabilization and the reconciliation of the country. So those are of course things that on the long term will have a positive impact on reducing the risk of illegal or irregular migration. The other work that we are heavily doing is to work with the youth and raise awareness of the problems that are out there, to make sure that our youth gets the real message that whatever they are looking for outside, they can do it home.
Meanwhile, no concrete measures have been put in place to end the flow of migrants leaving the country from the port city of Bosaso, a strategic port town in northeastern Somalia that has become a major destination for both Somalis and Ethiopian migrants, with smugglers continuing to make thousands of dollars in illegal migration. Abdulaziz Bilon, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Changing gear now, 6-year-old DJ Arch Jr. stepped into the limelight when he won South Africa's Got Talent in 2015 at just 3 years old. AJ was recently invited to America's Got Talent Championship in the US. CGTN's Julie Sher met up with him in Johannesburg.
6-year-old South African DJ Arch Jr. set the tone for America's Got Talent with his fiery opening performance. He was one of 50 acts invited to an exclusive championship round. The US is one of the most lucrative music markets in the world.
So I was very nervous. Because I mean, even this time it was like a 3 times bigger production and I wasn't on stage with him. And they had this like huge deck that he was on and he was like this tiny old person in front of all this big crowd and he kind of just did his thing. It was amazing. It was amazing to watch.
The child star took South Africa by storm in 2015 by winning the SA Got Talent competition. This time, he wowed the US crowd and stole the judges' heart. Even Simon Cowell, the most hardcore judge, couldn't help but fall in love.
You and I need to be talking after this show, because I've got some plans for you, trust me. I think you are a total little star. I absolutely love you.
Simon Cowell is like the master of, Olympics of talent. If you're getting a compliment for him telling you that you're talented, then you know what? No one else can tell me that you're not.
AJ is now back in South Africa and life has returned to normal, but he certainly struck a chord with the American audience.
I felt very excited being in America's Got Talent because it was very big. My favorite judge was Melby because she's very beautiful.
The young DJ will soon be meeting Cowell to discuss his future. But for now, his focus is on school and his time on the decks is limited to short sessions.
The fact that he's so young and still in grade 2, it's a bit easy now. Like we don't even have to try hard. I think the big challenge would come when he starts high school. And that's when I'll be like, there will be a specific way when you start running things.
AJ is a humble boy. Despite his childhood stardom, his parents have created a warm and loving family environment. And his dream is to one day become a doctor.
I want to tell children like me to follow their dreams and do what they love.
Julie Shara, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
In Morocco, 1,500 Chinese red lanterns lit up Chefchaouen, known as the Blue Town, in a celebration to mark the Chinese New Year. The event was organized by the Chinese embassy in Morocco. Rabat Chinese Cultural Centre and the Moroccan government. The celebrations included the dragon and lion dance swathed in red, a colour of special significance to Chinese culture. In recent years, cultural exchange activities between the two countries have become increasingly frequent, especially in the tourism sector. The new year officially begins on the 5th of February, with Chinese communities from around the world taking part in